And all appears calm in Agor Palace Way in Okota, Lagos State, a day after some ballot papers were burnt by hoodlums. Many in the affected area had feared a reprisal attack, but the presence of security operatives may have prevented any attack. Our correspondent, Elu Phillips, reports.
Wet streets and aftermath of heavy downpour for most part of the day. This is Agor Palace Way, a day after the 2019 general elections, which was for most part disrupted by thugs. It's back to regular business and nothing suggesting otherwise. Contrary to the fear of a reprisal attack from the home base of the thugs, this may well be the antidote. Personnel of Operation Python Dance patrolling the entire area. From the rescheduled elections holding in some parts of the country, we can now safely say, at least for now, that this polling unit, 023, here on Agor Palace Way by Babewe bus stop, isn't having any scheduled elections, despite the massive disruption we witnessed here yesterday. Incidentally, it didn't just happen here alone. We also had somewhere just 50 meters away from here, just down the road there, or Half-Your Street, it's another hotspot where elections was disrupted. Before we continue on this conversation, let me play you a short video as was obtained by someone who was here yesterday, and we can continue. In this video showing the disruption, the only policeman on duty is seen trying so hard. But how hard can he work against the thugs who are determined against an armed officer? They sure had a field day, no doubt. Now, clearly, that tells you that there was a security breach. What exactly happened? Did we have enough men? Was there a time lag between the response time and when this issue happened? And why did it take the security operatives that long to surface or come around to quell the situation? I'm told that just down the road, there is a police command, Agor Palace Way Police Station. I want to see how long it takes me from this spot to that point, suggesting a safe. Why didn't we have that early enough? Come with me. We just want to be sure how long from that point to the police station. I'll just do something very simple, a quick timer. So here we go, we start. So we go in. Can we move? I want to see how many minutes at a certain speedometer. We're going to do between 20 and 25, 30 before we can get there, because it's a busy road. We don't want to speed up. So this is it. Safe, we can add some plus minus. I stop exactly 2 minutes 43 seconds to arrive at the police station from where that incident happened. 2 minutes 43 seconds. What does it say really? I mean, INEC and the security operatives that are scheduled for all of these election processes should take this into consideration, because over 400 people have just been disenfranchised from a few hoodlums who have decided to be nasty. So while the president may have made very strong statements as to consequences for ballot snatchers, it seems like we have another strategy to disenfranchising people. Don't run away with the ballot box. Just get there, scare people away, set the results on fire. This is the new trend in treachery, and it should be arrested as soon as possible. From Agor Palace Way, Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
We'll be bringing you the latest, especially what INEC has to say about the elections there at that polling unit in Okota. And the People's Democratic Party, PDP, is alleging that one of its presidential campaign council spokesperson, Mr. Buba Galadima, has been arrested by masked men. The opposition party claims Mr. Galadima may have been arrested by operatives of the Department of State Services, DSS. Mr. Galadima was said to have been picked up at the PDP Situation Room in Abuja and his whereabouts, according to the party, is still unknown, and calls to the mobile phone of Mr. Galadima are not answered. However, when Channels Television asked the DSS about Mr. Buba Galadima, the security agency says that they did not arrest the PDP spokesperson. In the meantime, the People's Democratic Party is demanding the unconditional release of Mr. Buba Galadima. In a statement by the national chairman of the party, Chief Uche Secondus, the PDP condemns the arrest, saying no crime has been traced to Mr. Galadima. It wonders, according to his statement, quote, "The nation is currently boiling with the deaths caused by thugs of the All Progressives Congress. Not one of these thugs has been arrested by the DSS. The nation was embarrassed by drone images of bullion vans laden with cash driving into the home of the national leader of the APC, and no action has been taken by the law enforcement authorities. Yet a patriot and pro-democracy activist is arrested." End of quote. Well, at the level of the states, the resident electoral commissioners have begun receiving collated results from the field. Now, here are some of the collation exercises covered by our correspondents.
The much anticipated presidential and National Assembly elections have come and gone, except for areas where the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC had to reschedule as a result of incidences. Now the attention of the nation has shifted to the collation centers across the country. In Anambra Central Senatorial District, collation of results is ongoing, and officials assure all stakeholders of transparency of the process.
The party agents are here, the INEC ad hoc workers are here, and the INEC things are moving fine. Within a short time, we will set up our e-collation system so that people, if you are agents, will see. Every person here will see what we are entering into the books.
The situation was a bit different at the Abacha Youth Center in Lafia, Nasarawa State, where a mild drama almost disrupted the collation exercise because a party agent alleged that the man was taking photographs while pretending to be assisting the local government returning officer. In Ogun Central Senatorial District, observers commended the peaceful exercise, but expected collation to have been faster.
We are still expecting results from other local governments other than Abeokuta South. And presently, the results from Abeokuta South is still being collated. We have only gotten 7 wards out of the 15 wards. So it is actually not a good signal, because one would have expected that by now the collation should have been faster than this.
The citizens have played their role by exercising their franchise. All eyes are now on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to move past any form of limitation to collate and declare results. Nigerians can only hope that the victors at the polls will be magnanimous in victory, and the losers will concede defeat. After all, it's an election and not war.
And for more on the elections, our Channels Television data consultant, Babajide Ogunsowo, joins us on the news at 10. A pleasure to have you here.
For me, it's always great to be here, Millicent.
Okay, so the election results gradually coming in. What are your fears or hopes?
You know, speaking of fears and hopes, just give what I'm about to tell you a tiny mouse of thought. When thugs snatch ballot boxes, when thugs burn ballot papers, when they disrupt elections, it's because of just one reason: because your vote counts. Just think about it. Whatever happens, you need to keep to these 3 words: your vote counts. And all of the violence you're seeing, again, is because of these 3 words: your vote counts. Speaking of fears, there's one fear I have and one hope. Let's look at the fear first, and that is invalid votes. We had seen in 2015, when the elections were declared, there were over 800,000 invalid votes. And that was then when we had fewer political parties. The challenge is we've got severely more political parties, and it's now a more complicated process. And so while we want people's votes to count, we now have a process and a procedure that might significantly increase the number of invalid votes. But I hope that is reduced with time. But when you're talking about my hopes, I've got big hopes. My hope is that voters turned out a lot on Saturday. If you look at the trend, we are seeing that the peak was in 2003 when 39 million voters turned out. I'm hoping that this time around, INEC says we've got 72.7 million PVCs collected. I sincerely hope that more than half of Nigerians came out to vote. But again, looking at the report from observers and monitors, they are also concerned that fewer people came out. But again, I'm hopeful that more people will come out for the governorship elections.
Looking at the results, you know, is the enthusiasm for the result higher than previous years, previous elections?
It's really tough to measure enthusiasm, but I've spoken to hundreds of Nigerians, and there are two fears Nigerians have. On one hand, you have those that fear about what Nigeria will become if the president keeps his job. You also have, on the second hand, those that fear what will happen to Nigeria if the president loses his job. But if you look at those two categories of people, there's one thing that unites them, and that is fear. Fear of President Buhari losing his job and the fear of Buhari keeping his job. So whoever wins this election, his first responsibility is to convert fear to hope. Whoever wins, the first responsibility is convert fear to hope. And how can you convert fear to hope? By doing just one thing, one simple thing. And that is, you don't have to just be commander-in-chief. You now need to be communicator-in-chief. So whoever wins, when we talk about looking at the presidential election, and especially looking at the other elections at the National Assembly, you no longer should just be a leader in thought. You now need to be a leader in speech and in words.
So based on some of the things you've said, there's always been said that government should be in continuum. Do you think that priorities for the elected leader, if he remains or if it changes, would change?
Government should be a continuum, but whatever happens in this election, there are two things Nigerians are asking for. When Nigerians went to the ballot to thumbprint, they weren't voting for APC or PDP or YPP or ANPP or ANRP. What Nigerians really want is a good country party. So that vote was really not for your political party. What Nigerians were voting for was for a good country. And when you eventually are sworn in, Nigerians aren't really bothered about the manifesto of the APC or PDP. What Nigerians really want is simple, a manifesto of public good. And so two things leaders need to be concerned about, that your vote wasn't for your political party, your vote was for a good country party, and your manifesto is really not what Nigerians are interested. Nigerians are interested in the manifesto of public good. But whatever happens in the days ahead, we have several elections coming. These three words should always be on our mind. And that is, your vote counts.
Well, I'd like to thank you so much, Babajide Ogunsewo, for joining us on the News at 10. And I'm sure you didn't get that from any polling unit.
No, I didn't snatch it. This is my own ballot box.
All right. Well, following the success of their maiden exhibition titled Beyond Function 1, the duo of Cameroonian artists Njau Kasi Natali and Nigeria's Arto Arinze are back with Beyond Function 2. Art Review tonight shows how the artists explore the usage of materials beyond their primary functions.
A regular at the Quintessence Gallery, Lagos, would notice that a few things have been tinkered with in the space to make room for these new arrivals, done in different shapes, sizes, and shades. It's all to accommodate the works of art done by two creative minds from diverse worlds, Jaku Natli from Cameroon and Ato Arinze from Nigeria. They came together to put up this show titled Beyond Function, the second in the series.
Beyond function because most people used to see clay works as usual thing, to put water, to put food, to put things. And that the way to see clay works is reducing the value of the work. So we say we have to go beyond that function of utility. So we have to show works that is going out of that way to see clay works as utilitarian tools or utilitarian items. This is why we say, okay, we can do something with the title beyond function. You just have to look the work and appreciate it. Just to put your eyes inside, not water, not oil, not food.
A display of pottery and ceramics brings a breath of fresh air to the gallery space, which is filled with the usual paintings and other decorative items. But these two see their craft going beyond aesthetical appeal.
The idea of taking it beyond the functionality also, part of it has to do with being the works being thematic. At least each of the works are inspired by maybe some kind of experience by the artist or some kind of events that are happening within our environment, you know. So we all choose each of the design based on the themes that we have in mind.
Pottery is usually fired up with clay, while ceramists use porcelain clay to create their pieces. But the other processes involved depend on the individual.
See, I don't like repeating work. So every time I'm inspired, by the moment I have one title in my work, my brain starts working. Sometimes you can't explain why you are working. So it can happen sometimes when you are sleeping. It can happen if I enter in one gallery, something can inspire me. One motif can inspire me. If I'm in a market, two people talking, it can inspire me. So it's a chemistry you can't explain 100% what is happening in the brain of the artist, yes.
It's not every time one gets to enjoy an exhibition that shows this aspect of visual art. So the show is on for a month, an opportunity for art enthusiasts to really have a feel of the potter's wheel and see the chiseled wonders that come out from a creative hand.